I got fired because I asked for more money because I was working in accounts payable and I was the one processing the invoice that they were using
Yeah, so
to
you
pay
were
me. So I
seeing.
was seeing how much, and I was working through an agency. So I was seeing how much Sheraton was paying the agency for me, which was over times two what they were paying me. So
Jeez.
I said, this is not
Wow.
working out. So
Wow.
I asked for more money
And they
and they
said,
fired me.
oh. Hi, my name is Ayomide, and welcome back to the Midday Show. Today's guest is the definition of breaking barriers and building bridges in tech. Pelumi Ogedengbe is a senior product manager, a speaker, and the founder of Adar, where he helps newcomers launch and build their careers in tech. From a finance background to leading product for a San Francisco company, Pelumi's story is both inspiring and eye-opening. Today's episode is all about tech, how to break into tech, what people don't tell you, and how Pelumi made it happen. So join me as we welcome the sharp, strategic, ever all-knowing and inspiring Pelumi Ogedengbe.
Thank you. Oh no, it is more. Now it's not time. Let's get
Let's be guided. Let's be guided. Well, Pelumi, welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Doing well. Thank you for asking.
You look like $1 million.
Amen. Oh God, amen.
Tell us how you do it.
When I get there, I'll tell you how I do
Okay.
it.
Fair. Okay, so let me tell us about yourself. Like, I guess let's start with your background. You're originally from Nigeria, and you moved to Canada. Tell us about that. Like, growing up, how was that?
Yeah, so yes, originally from Nigeria, born and bred. I've been a Niger boy, you know what I mean? So not hiding that fact. Went through all obviously but primary school, high school, university all the way to bachelor's. In Nigeria, went to Covenant University, fantastic school.
Many moons ago, as far as
Let's just that. But yes, just a few years ago.
just a few.
But I came to Canada in 2015. So for my bachelor's, I studied banking and finance. Funny story because I actually wanted to study economics, but Covenant University did not give me admission for economics. They don't know
It's
admission.
unfortunate.
But anyway, that's great to have it. After bachelor's, came to Canada, did my master's in University of Windsor. So necessarily the most prestigious of schools, and it goes to like Harvard or one of these schools, right? But I came and I did my master's again in accounting and finance. So that's what brought me to Canada.
So why finance? How was it in school? Were you like a finance student? Were you like science student? Like
honestly, so the reason for finance is again initially I wanted to study economics, but then I found banking and finance instead, and I didn't hate it. I was pretty good in school, but after watching a lot of movies in Nigeria, Wolf of Wall Street, for example, finance appealed to me. That's what I thought.
Right.
And so I wanted to become an investment banker. So my dream was, I'd done a lot of studies, a lot of research papers that I'd written and stuff about like the financial systems and the financial ecosystem in Canada, in the US and stuff like that. So I had a lot of interest, right, in becoming an investment banker. That was my dream. And so that was the reason why when I came to Canada, I also came to study accounting and finance.
Why Canada? Why did you choose to come to Canada?
That one is deep.
Let's get into it.
There are a number of reasons. To be completely honest, because I knew from like my second year in school that I was going to come to Canada. For me specifically, again because of my dream to work in finance, then I knew that Canada had a strong financial system. So I'll give you an example. Back then, I did a study of some of the financial turmoil like 2008 and like the great economic downturn they had many years ago. And amidst all of that, the Canadian financial ecosystem stayed steady. So that was a little bit interesting to me. And as a finance person, you want to work in those environments. So initially, that was where the idea of Canada came from. initially. But then also, I remember when I was going for my master's degree, I had admission at schools in the UK. But to be honest with you, the immigration path was not.
They would have sent you back
Let me
home.
speak to you now. The immigration. Oh, I know that I don't want to meet Tinubu's right.
No.
But I'll be honest, right? So the immigration path wasn't necessarily there. It wasn't as straightforward. So then my dad advised me that, Pelumi, come to Canada. And so obviously that in collaboration or in conjunction with like the idea from my second year of coming to Canada to study finance, it was a collab.
It was a collab. Well, so at second year, you already kind of knew what you wanted to do. Where did that stem from? That sounded like for a Nigerian term, efiko, like someone that is so serious, like you're just so focused on school. In second year, I didn't know what I was doing. So, like, how were you able to already figure out your career path so early on?
So, or at least so I thought.
Well, so you
right.
thought.
So I thought. I've always been pretty much a balanced person. I wouldn't necessarily say I was an efiko that was just in my books all day. I was still in the streets now, you know, I was in that street still, you know what I'm saying? So I've never been that person. As a matter of fact, in school, the awards that I usually won back then were this Mr. 360 person. I always believed a lot in like balance.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm never the type to say, oh, you must finish the school first class. Leave that side first. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I believe in balance. Have different skill sets. So for me, one of the skill sets is also looking ahead. Like I'm a visionary, if that kind of makes sense. I'm always thinking ahead. So okay, what do I want to do next? What's next, right? For me, I feel like I have this insatiable need, right? For more, right? So as a 200 level then, because I was in finance, I was always thinking, okay, what do I want to really do in the future with finance? And so that was what made me already start thinking through it, right? But to be honest as well, let me not lie to you. When I was watching those movies, Wolf of Wall Street, we were always with and tie.
Yeah, you were just like,
attractive.
Just like, I want to be here.
Be that guy, right? You know, so that was the reason why I was thinking finance at that time at least.
So would you say that you being a balanced person, or you always thinking 2 steps ahead, came from like your upbringing? Like, for example, how many siblings do you have?
I have 2 older brothers. So I'm the last of 3.
Wow.
Yes.
3 boys.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's a serious house.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, for sure.
So would you say like your upbringing, or like you being the last child, like shaped how you thought about life or thought about like your career?
I would say yes. Definitely yes. Being a last child and always being the younger one, I felt like I was at a seat where I could observe. I could really observe, take things in, and learn what I wanted and what I didn't want.
Yeah.
So, for example, like one of the ways that I like to make decisions is, first of all, like especially when it's a blank slate, I first want to identify what don't I want. To kind of narrow down, generally, that's how my mind works. What don't I want first? And I feel like oftentimes that then leads me to what I want when I'm unclear about what I want from the start. So I felt like being the last born and a pretty large family. So to give context, my mom has 11 siblings.
11?
Yes.
Yeah.
Grandpa and a senior man now, you know.
Wow.
Let's just say he give expression to a lot of love.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of love.
So, yes. You know what I'm saying? So I was
surrounded.
I was surrounded by a lot of older people, oftentimes, because I was the last one of my mom, right? So I felt like definitely that shaped me, helping me.
So you're not spoiled, you're not spoiled, like. But okay. Well, let's leave that
to an extent.
Okay.
Not really.
Not really, but kind of like.
I went through. I would say like I don't know, man. I had the tendencies to be spoiled, but I also had a dad who was pretty strict. So
it was balanced.
They were
Like a balanced man.
Balance without copy.
I love that. Okay. So, coming to Canada, you studied finance in your master's. How was your first ever job?
My first ever job in Canada or
Yeah.
my first ever job in finance?
Canada, let's start with that.
So I'm actually not ashamed to do this. So my first ever job in Canada. So I was again just being a very I like to think ahead. I remember first semester of my first year of masters, I decided I wasn't going to work at all. To be honest, I was fortunate enough to not have to need to work, right? So I didn't need to. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for my parents as well for that. But my second semester, I said I was going to jump into the market and work. Why? Because I want to start understanding the Canadian work culture. I want to start learning how to interact with Canadians and just learn. So I took up a job. It was a sales job. You know, when you walk into like Walmart, and people will approach you to sell you a credit card. Well, let's just say that was me.
Yes, not interested. Are you sure? Yeah. You had iPad, have you?
Oh yes. It was a huge learning ground for me. But yeah, that was the first job that I took, and the way I kind of see like those stories eventually shape who you become, right? So yeah.
What did you learn from that job?
What I learned from it, a lot of resilience. Let's be honest, I am a black guy who's selling credit cards to
it's giving Nigerian prince.
It's giving, you know something, it's giving scam, right? So I faced, instances of, I guess unpleasant instances sometimes with some people. Oh, don't come to me, straight up. But it built me.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can tell me now. You tell me, no, okay,
we'll move now.
We'll not be today, you know what I'm saying? So I learned a lot of that from there. I learned the act of selling, right? I had to sell to make money. Thankfully, I had a pretty low base, plus a commission when I sell.
When I did door to door, it was not like that.
So I was fortunate. But I learned the art of selling to people, of convincing people, really understanding what their points of needs were, and then tailoring the solution, if applicable, to their point of needs, right? So for me, if you kind of think about what I do today, I started learning the social lessons from them, right?
So let's talk about your first finance job.
First finance job was actually I was working as an accounting technician.
What's that?
So basically, I was working for Intuit QuickBooks. I worked for them. I worked for Intuit for a bit. So initially, what I was doing for them was when they rolled out QBO, which is QuickBooks Online, we were the support staff behind it. So businesses like you, let's say you were using QuickBooks to run your business. If you had any issues regarding setting up your accounts, if your books are not balancing, all of that.
Tech support?
Not tech support quite as such. There's an aspect of it that was tech support, but there's an aspect of it that was diving deep into the person's accounting records. Do you get? So you needed to have an accounting background to do that job. So it wasn't just click here, click here. No. It was, let's look at your general ledger. Let's look at your AR. Let's look at your AP. Let's look at your reports. Let's find where the imbalances was making your books not to balance. It was a lot of in depth. So that was my first role in Canada in accounting.
Did you like it?
It had its pros and cons. Put it that way. Yeah, but I didn't necessarily hate it, right? But I didn't love it either.
So the big question: how did you go from doing people's QuickBook to be going into tech? Like how did you make that big leap?
It's actually very interesting because before I moved into tech, I did a couple of other accounting roles or finance and accounting related roles. So, for example, I did accounts payable for Sheraton downtown Toronto for a bit, and then I worked for a film finance company.
Film finance.
Yes. So basically, what they do was to help, movie houses or film houses or film production companies to recoup tax credits. So we do all of the crunching of their numbers, all of their costs, identify, depending on where they shot the movie, all of the rules and laws that exist that can help them recoup some money. So, for example, we did somewhere, a movie that maybe cost $100 million to produce, they were able to recoup back over $11 million in tax credits for them, right? Which is great for the production house and stuff. So I did that, as well for a little, but that was my last finance accounting related role. But how I got into tech was I actually channeled a lot of what I'd learned in my accounting and finance experience, especially with the QuickBooks experience.
How?
Because I'll tell you why. QuickBooks, while it's not a traditional or fully functional, what we call enterprise resource planning application ERP, it's a core part of an ERP. We kind of think about companies who use like SAP, for example, that is the ERP leader, right? And other ERPs, the accounting function is a core piece to it. And so I had that experience both from my educational background and that work experience implementing those systems for different businesses from working at QuickBooks. And so my first role in tech was actually to help an organization, I remember back then in Oakville, to help them implement Sage Intacct, which was a fully functional ERP, right? Help them implement it for their business, do a bunch of integrations with a lot of their tools like Salesforce, Nexonia, which is like the expensing system and all of that. So basically, I took my domain knowledge existing in accounting and I just remarketed myself specifically for those tech roles. Now, how I got there is a whole nother question entirely. That was how I got there.
How did you get there? But for real, yeah.
I'll tell you. So, if I can be a bit vulnerable here, right? When I was working in accounting, I hated it. Like, especially after the QuickBooks experience. That QuickBooks experience, I needed it for survival.
As well. You needed to eat.
I needed it for survival. You get, right? And so, the first experience at Sheraton, I got fired because I asked for more money. Because I was working in accounts payable and I was the one processing the invoice that they were using.
Yeah, so you were seeing.
So I was seeing how much, and I was working through an agency. So I was seeing how much Sheraton was paying the agency for me, which was over times 2 what they were paying me.
Jeez.
So I said, this is not working out.
Wow.
So I asked for more money and
they said,
fired me.
Oh.
Thankfully, paid to have it. I got another role a couple weeks after, which was the film finance company. But honestly, it was a lot of Excel spreadsheets and a lot of numbers. A lot of hands behind the desk and just crunching numbers away because we had different models that we had to use in crunching the numbers. And my, I was miserable. I did the job for almost a year. I was so miserable at my job. Like I hated going to the office every day. I hated it. Not because of the office. Downtown Toronto, I was coming from Mississauga, drive down. But I hated the job so much. I was so miserable at it. Like I was like, what am I doing here? Some days, honestly, I joke about this, but some days I'll be staring at a lot of things. I'm staring at the computer.
What is going on?
I look like like the movie Matrix.
Yeah,
the numbers are
like just moving.
That was like, I'm like, this thing will kill me. This will be so. Unfortunately, as well, I was told that my services
were no longer
appreciated as well. You understand? So, but before that, I already started a lot of introspecting and really looking at myself. So first of all, I just sat down and said, you know what, in a workplace, what are the things that I want to be doing? So I remember very, very almost casually, I wrote down things like, oh, I would love to do like presentations as an example. I would love, solving problems and seeing things come to life. I just whiteboarding in my head on paper, right? So when I wrote down those things, started talking to more people. And that's when I learned initially about IT business analysis at church, at my church actually. So I talk about it. And then someone pointed me to Top Run. Top Run, Barbara Tapo. Shout out to you. Honestly, you gave people's lives. But like back then, Top Run. So I went and did a boot camp for about 6 weeks or so, right? Paid $2,500. So I'd done that before I was told that my services were no longer were less appreciated. So after I got that job, after I lost that job, I remember like when I was told and I got into the car, I shed a tear. Because obviously I'm like, you don't go, right? But I remember driving back to the site that day. I was just thanking God. I was just thanking God, singing praises in the car alone. Because I knew something was about to shift for me. I'd completed the training course, but I just knew in my heart of heart that something was about to change for me. And I, thankfully, after 6 weeks, after that period, I landed my first IT business analyst role.
After 6 weeks.
After 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. And what year was this?
My sister. 2016. But there's a whole other backstory. Because in Nigeria in 2013, right, I had worked as a business analyst for a year. When Nigeria is, we didn't necessarily call it a business analyst, but essentially I helped a pretty large university, their grants department, helped them to transform from like more paper processes to a system called Peachtree accounting back then for a whole year. But then in Nigeria, we're just doing it. We're trying to automate this. Okay, let's
do it.
Let's do it. Right?
But it wasn't like official.
So officially, I really got my first tech experience in 2013.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you moving from a finance background to tech, how were you able to cope? Like all the terminologies, all of those things, like speaking in meetings, because before you were not really interfacing with people like that.
Exactly.
And then you now went to like a predominantly like heavy facing role. How was that like?
And that was one of the things. That was one of the things that caused a lot of frustration for me in my previous role. Because obviously you know me. I am a communicator. I like to speak. I'm not shy of anybody. I don't care. I go follow you talk. Sorry. Can we speak?
You speak the way you want to speak.
I go follow, what I'm saying? Like, that's just my person. So like, you can't put me behind a screen and just tell me
very limiting.
Numbers. It's very, very limiting for me. It's just, again, for some people, that's them. And I applaud them, and there's nothing wrong with it. We're different people. So for me, speaking was never a problem. Speaking confidently was never a problem. For me, it was an area of strength. You know what I mean? So for me, that's how I cope with speaking. Now, did I mention before that I'm a Nigerian boy?
Yeah, we quite know.
Oh, my goodness. We don't have to know everything now,
Yeah, it does have to.
You can sound like,
very confident.
You can sound like it. So, I remember like, but when I took my IT business analysis course, I surrounded myself with peers. And one of the people then was Sheyi Adeshola, my guy. Back then we used to say like we did like because we're trying to like make sure that we understand the terminologies, we would use terminologies like requirement gathering and things like that in our conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Like was this like guy, Alpha, what are you gonna have for breakfast? Got my requirement. Here are my functional requirements. Here are my the most
That's actually good.
But we did that to really firm up the knowledge because we knew that it wasn't going to be easy. So that was one of the things that we did. Also, initially when I started out in the industry, one practice I always kept through a couple of companies I worked at initially was creating my personal glossary. So when I step into an organization, the moment I start hearing terminology,
you write it down.
And at the same time, because of the nature of these roles, they weren't necessarily entry-level roles. I was being brought on with my little experience to come and work in roles that they needed the person to have 7 years of experience. How old am I now?
That you already have 7 years.
I was ready to give us. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't necessarily have the luxury of asking, oh,
What's
sorry,
that?
what's a business rule? No, now it's wrong. You can't be asking those kind of questions in the meeting.
Write it
Right?
down.
So I write it down. I'm gonna do my research later. Then when I realize that it's not an industry standard lingo or language that I should know,
Then you now
then I come
ask
back and ask
them.
questions. So those were some of the things I was able to do to start coping in a lot of those conversations.
How did you learn that? Like,
Again, my sister, to be honest, okay, I'll tell you how. I am very, very, so when I really looked at and really thought about myself and my strengths, one of the key things that I realized about myself is I'm very, very logical. I like to think about things. Okay, I like to think about the reasons behind things. Okay, why is this? Why is that? Why is the wall white? Why not brown? Is it because of this? Is it because they maybe have, you know what I'm saying? I would ask all those questions. So naturally, I'm very curious, right? And so that curiosity helps me to think deeply and say, okay, I'm hearing a bunch of wisdom knowledge. I don't understand them. How can I learn them? So that curiosity then got me to say, to start, the curiosity got me to naturally adopt a framework we call lean methodology. So I'm constantly looking for ways to improve something, even just my natural life, right? Forget systems now. My natural life, I'm always looking for ways that, how can I reduce the time I spend on this? How can I cut down? You know what I'm saying? How can I learn more about this in a bit of an easier way? So that's really what helped me to think, oh, let me start creating a personal glossary. So that's really how a lot of my things come up. That kind of makes sense.
and did you ever have a mentor? And at what point in your career did you get one?
I did. So even before I got into tech, I had a mentor who's almost like family to me, who always told me, Pelumi, like, getting in is the hardest part. Once you get in, the sky is the limit, right? So I did have that. I had people that I would speak to every now and then. I had different people, like even at church that I would speak to. I would call them, or this problem I'm facing, give me some guidance and stuff, give me some direction. So yes, I did have mentors for sure.
And you not being as experienced as the role required, did you ever feel like you got caught? Or did you ever feel like some people were suspecting, or you played it till you made it?
To be honest, we played it. So I'll tell you one interesting story. The year I was going to join CIBC, I was initially brought in at CIBC to be the business process lead for their identity and access management, governance and operations. So to be honest, before that, identity AIM. What is that? Who is that?
Who is that? Who is she?
I had zero experience on that. However, I remember like when I was implementing one of the ERPs for an organization where I was working at before, I did a lot of like permissions controls and like configuring like the permissions, having a super admin, blah, 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 blah. Now, for this role at CIBC, they needed someone with 7 or 8 years of experience in IAM. I did not have it. The interview, I was going to be meeting with the director and another senior manager, right? For the interview, something happened with transportation that day, downtown Toronto. I didn't get there early, got like 30 minutes late. 30 minutes late. But I was communicating with them a lot, right? I kept communication lines open. I didn't have the experience. I didn't have the skills. But you know what I had? I had confidence. Because I stepped into that room with my gadgets. Oh, my suit.
Shaba, shaba.
And you get it. I had already come prepared. I engaged in things. I stepped into the room. The senior manager had to step out for another meeting. Who knows? And then there was just the director there. Got there, apologized, maintained eye contact. Stated my claim. As God will have it, because I don't attribute these things to me. As God will have it. The same day, I got the offer.
Same day. Wow.
Favor. But the only thing I can say is that I spoke with confidence, right? And confidence, especially in my line of work,
key.
My goodness, it will take you further than any technical skill.
It's key.
It is the first thing that employers are looking for in my line of work. And the reason why is they're going to be very engaged with working with a lot of senior leaders.
Yeah.
How are you able to confidently bring them to align on certain actors?
But how do you sound confident without saying rubbish?
Number one is preparation. You cannot replace preparation. So when I'm going into meetings, sometimes, especially when I'm having a big presentation, till date, even now that I have a lot of experience, till date, I would literally sit and practice out what I'm going to say. So that preparation 100% helps. But not just preparing what you will say, anticipating questions that you can be asked.
There was no ChatGPT.
There's no ChatGPT. Yeah. There's no ChatGPT. You know what I'm saying? Not ChatGPT, it should be breeze.
Easy
Right?
peasy.
Easy peasy. But anticipating questions that you can potentially be asked and then preparing for them. Just making sure that you're tying all loose ends. You have something prepared. And humility. It's okay to not know. It's okay not to know. That's a great question. Tell them that's a great question. I don't have that answer right now, but I'm going to put an action item and I'll get back to you. Even that is massive.
Yeah, that's key.
So that's how I approach it.
So when you got hired as a business process lead, how did you now transition to like IT business analyst?
So it was still IT business analysis because at that time, as a business process lead, essentially at that time, CIBC was implementing a major identity management tool called SailPoint IIQ. SailPoint is actually massive. They use it across all the banks for managing access. So I had a lot of it is a software that was being implemented. We also had a lot of other moving parts. For example, we're also implementing CyberArk. CyberArk is another massive industry leader in that space, as well as ServiceNow. So there was a lot of components. Now, with all of those integrations and implementations in place, the activities of operations team needed to change. I was in governance, and governance will govern what operations does. So I needed to then we've implemented this, make sure we have alignment to what we're implementing. Okay, now how does that impact identity and access operations activities? I have to document them. I have to align with them. Then I have to train them on it. Do you understand? So already that it required quite a lot of requirement gathering. All of the things that an IT business analyst, essentially I was an IT business analyst, just with a bit of a different functionality.
Wow. So fast forward to today. How did you go from, I guess we can start with, how did you go from being a business analyst? How did you go from being a business analyst to a product manager? Or did you become a product owner first? How was that? Like, how did you transition to product, and how did you know product was your thing?
To be honest, after I spent a couple of years at the banks, products initially found me. I was poached by Constellation Software to come lead one of their product teams, right, as a product owner initially. And that's how initially product found me. Yeah.
And you took the job.
Oh, let's just say they had an offer that was cooperating with my circumstances then.
Yeah, glory. Wow.
So yes. I took the role then. That's how I got into product initially. Yes.
So like being like a business analyst and like being a product owner, like there are things that can be similar, but how did you? I guess you've said it again, confidence. But how did you like manage that transition? Like,
again, like you said, there are a lot of things that are very similar in terms of implementation or product execution. right? As a business analyst, I've done a lot of that execution at the places where I've worked. So now, moving into now this new product role, it required a bit more than execution. It required a bit more product strategy, right? Which is really focusing on why are we building something and what are we building before how are we building it. And the execution aspect really deals with how are we building it, what are the requirements, how are we building it. Do you understand? What are the details of the product, right? That's the execution aspect. So managing that transition, I had to study. That's when I started racking up on certifications, right? I had to then, okay, how do I get this thing to the next level? And so within a year, I was already promoted to proper product manager. Within another year, I was moved up again. Then I had direct reports, so almost like at a group product manager level at that time. So because again, I invested in education, I invested in studying. I spent a lot of money in like just product knowledge. Best parties. I did not pay for anything myself.
Glory.
The company that she hired me, they paid for it. So,
wow. It's not every company that does that.
I know. But
good.
that's actually one thing I personally, when I get into an organization, I push for. Yeah. I have to grow.
Yeah.
What am I not doing here?
Yeah.
It's not enough to just earn.
Because being a business analyst, you kind of had to change the way you were thinking about things as a product owner, right? Like you're thinking about strategy and like futuristic things. But would you say that's kind of like how you are? Like,
yes. Again, for me, like, so at that point, I did more introspection. Is that a word? Is that a word?
Yeah, introspection.
And so I realized my three biggest strengths as a person. And I broke it down into 3 C's. One, it sounded very composed.
Yeah, sound like your pastor.
Pastor as well. Let's calm down. For me, it was curiosity. So I'm a very curious person. Second thing was communication. I think I'm pretty good at communicating, right? And the third thing was creativity. So curiosity, communication, curiosity. Those for me are the pillars of my person, my strengths as a person, right? And so, product aligns with those things. Some of the first things that, in what we call product sense, you have curious about problems, right? Remember that curiosity that I mentioned before? Why is this? I'm very random, and I end up driving on the road alone.
Why is that?
Why? One day, I remember one day I asked the question in my mind, I'm like, why is the tar on the road black?
Like,
and I went on a 30 minutes thinking spree about why exactly is it black. Nobody asked me. But again, by nature, I'm very curious. I'm a very curious person, so I'll always ask questions. So why is this? Okay, why do we do this? Why do we want to do this? Why are we not doing this? Okay, and then just asking. I'm not asking anybody. I'm just asking my mind, right? But that's just where I'm wired. You get it? So, for me, working in products really helps me to bring that to life. Because you have to ask the why. In product management, something we call almost like imagine peeling an onion, trying to get to the root cause of the problem so that you can make sure that you're solving the right problem for the users. Because a lot of times when users come to tell you about the problem, they're mostly telling you about the symptom of the problem. You understand?
They're not telling you.
So now you have to peel the layers to really understand, okay, yeah, you're feeling this. But why? What problem are you trying to solve? Why would you rather feel something else instead? So you keep peeling the layers till you get to the root cause, which is the problem.
So in your own words, if you were to define product management, what would it be?
Great question. Because there's a lot of confusion between product management and project management. And funny enough, I was honored to be invited to an event recently where I had to speak on sort of the differences between both. I'll first talk about what specifically product management is. So product management, I'll define it as it's a practice of defining the vision, right, for a solution.
Okay.
it's a practice where you have to define the vision for a solution. Now, you can't arrive at a solution without first identifying the problem.
That is true.
Right? So if you kind of think about it, you peel in the layers, okay, and start asking, what is the problem? But I'll come to that in a second. I'll give you an analogy to kind of help you understand it. So imagine a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Who sets the vision for how they want the wedding to look?
The bride and the groom.
The bride and the groom.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the product managers for the wedding.
Mm.
But who executes it? Who is the person who brings it to life?
Planners, the vendors.
Event manager.
Mm-hmm.
Event manager, specifically the planner. Because they're the ones coordinating with vendors to make sure that everything is as spec'd out or scoped out by the couple. Do you understand?
So would you say the couple are like the couple is the stakeholder?
The couple is the product manager in this sense specifically. The stakeholders would be like your parents,
the guests.
right? The guests, right? That you have to consider.
Mm.
But you're the one painting the vision, right, for what you want the wedding to look like.
Who gets paid more?
To be honest, it depends. It depends. Depends on the organization. Depends on the company. Depends on what they're working on, right? I will say, a lot of companies are moving from what we call sales-led organizations to product-led organizations, and the reason why is companies are because competition these days, because of globalization, has become stiff. It's rough out there in the streets for companies as well.
Very rough.
So, and gone are the days of you go and gather requirements for 6 months, 8 months, and then you come and build something, and then nobody uses it.
Okay.
Why? Because you didn't necessarily go through the rounds of validating constantly to make sure that people's needs are constantly checked and being considered in building the product, right? So because of that, organizations have started realizing the need for, we need functions within the organization who are obsessed with the customer, who are obsessed with the customer problem, and can constantly feed that information in to build solutions that are right for the customer. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So now companies are moving from sales-led organizations to product-led organizations. So if you went, that's why like even now, like in recent years, you're now seeing the role of a CPO, Chief Product Officer, appear more in like Silicon Valley companies, which years ago, you never probably heard of a CPO.
No.
But now you're seeing
C-suite,
that. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of so now essentially what I'm saying is products is starting to buzz a lot. I'm sure you guys know this. Like it's a buzzword now. Product management. I want to be a product manager, right? That's sort of how it came about. That kind of makes sense.
So would you say that being a product manager for a company, you almost have to love the product or like believe in it to be able to be successful in the role? Because I mean, if you think about it, my 9 to 5, once it's 5:01 like this, I'm out, I've closed laptop, I'm not thinking about it. But as a product manager, do you kind of have to believe in the product to really succeed in the role? Or can you, I think the product is just okay, but I can still succeed? Like,
you can love the craft without loving the product.
Explain that.
You can love the craft of product management without loving the product you're building.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you ask me, am I passionate about the product I work on? Probably no. And funny thing is, my VP, who's again product guru, he said the same thing one day. He said it. It's, for example, we build software for like in roadside and accident management space. Yes, he said it in the meeting. So would I say I'm passionate about it? No, I said no, not quite. I was passionate with the craft. Passionate about the craft. So if I'm passionate about the craft, right? The craft of solving problems. The craft of a blank sheet. There's this new problem or there's this new opportunity, right? That exists that we need to solve. Because the way product management works is, the very simple phrase to describe it is, And I'm giving lots of definitions of product management. I told you.
True.
But product management exists, right, to enable business objectives through product development.
Okay.
So I'll give you a very plain analogy. Let's assume you work as a product manager for Meta. And let's assume Meta didn't have what do you call it? Marketplace yet. Perhaps the vision from or the objective from business leaders would have been, hey, we need to increase community engagement more, right? For people to engage more. Maybe because people are tired of the send message, send picture, right? Now you have a user base of 2 billion people. Now what do we do with them? So we know what the North Star is, which is drive customer engagement, right? Now, how do you start peeling that onion all the way till you arrive at the product of Facebook Marketplace, right? That is product management.
So you're also in charge of creating, like coming with the idea. So you want to tell me that Marketplace, for example, or even just like maybe, I don't know, Reels on Instagram was not like, oh, the visionary had an idea that I want Instagram Reels. It was,
Might not be that.
it might be a product manager that's,
yeah, it might be. So usually the way it work is, again, once you have that core problem or that key business metric, which is the North Star that you want to impact, where you go about it to start doing some research. Where are there opportunities to mostly impact this? So start doing research on like computer. Imagine like a Facebook. They'll start pulling some data. What are people mostly talking about? What are people saying that they wished Facebook could do? Right? What are people? So that's what we call identifying your big bets. Right? Where are people? So, for example, let's say you want to start a business now. You can start. So you know what you want. You have an idea of the problem you want to solve, but you want to know, okay, where are the biggest opportunities for me to prioritize? For example, you can go on Reddit and check, okay, what are people mostly searching for? Is specific to that area. You get, and they start peeling it and say, okay, where are there the biggest opportunities? You can do simple sizing, right? Okay, 100 people have spoken about different opportunities. 70 people have spoken about this kind of thing. That's a good indication of, okay, that's probably a big bet. So it's through that, it's through the refinement of those problems and the constant stakeholder collaboration that ideas are birthed. Now, one person might have an aha moment. Aha! We could do this. We could build something like this. And then you still have to get stakeholders then to align with that. And that's how product ideas are birthed. So it's not really one person in a cubicle. Not quite. Yes, there have been anomalies like that, right?
Probably.
Right? For of course, like the Facebooks of this world, right? They've been that, but even then, it's through refinement, right?
So have you had the opportunity to be a part of launching a fresh new product, or you've just been managing existing products?
So I've done both. At my previous company, especially, I was working as an initiative manager, and our initiative management at Constellation Software, one of your tasks, aside from managing existing products, was building market disruptors. So these are products that didn't exist in the market. So basically, we call it a 0 to 1 development, right? Brand new space. We know there's a problem there. There's a North Star of the organization. Want to drive revenue, blah, 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 blah. Want to drive net new sales by X% or whatever. Okay, now where are the opportunities? Start interviewing customers. Finding out. Just interview customers generally, not without any direction, without any specific need, just to understand what the problems are. And that's how we started identifying opportunity. And then that's how I actually to launch one for them. So I've done that. And now in my business, right, aside like career coaching and stuff, we are doing the exact same thing. So we have developers who are currently launching again a brand new software that we intend to use for the business to help scale. So
Okay, now that you brought up the business, Let's talk about that. How did you actually start coaching? And how did you know that you were fully equipped already to do that?
So obviously, it started out with, and I'm sure you've experienced the same because you work in tech. People will start asking you questions.
How did you do
How
this?
did you do this? I want to get this. So first of all, that was what initially introduced it to me. I'm like, and I realized that I loved having those conversations. I loved sharing my insights. I loved it. So I'm like, wait, it's like there's something here. You know what I'm saying? So that was initially how it came about. And then when I searched deeper, again, in terms of now going into purpose, right? I realized that I felt like I was called to be a helper, right? And so for me, that really aligned with my purpose as a person, right? There's several areas of my life where I can sort of bring out that example. But I actually love doing it, right? Not quite for me, right? But anyways, let's not dive too deep into the business because before you come in pastor again. But essentially like into purpose, right? And so I can hit this mic. But essentially that was how I got introduced to coaching. So initially I was just doing it casually for my friends. People who ask me questions, I'll give them an audience,
Like
listen
me.
to them and stuff. Yes, right? So that was how it initially started for me. And then I went on to take a gig with Skillhat to help them do the same thing. So students who had completed their training programs, they needed someone to help them get them on the way to getting the job. And so that was when I started doing it at a larger scale, right? Until now, while I'm still, of course, still supporting the Skill Hub program, now I've started my own thing because I just have so many other people who reach out as a virtue of like my content and stuff. I'm like, oh, I can probably start a business out of this. So that's how I got into it.
So tell us about your business.
Yes, Aiderr. So we help students who are, number one, we give clarity. People who are trying to get into tech. That's our niche right now. People are trying to get into tech. First of all, give them clarity. Okay, what are you really trying to do? Do you know what you're trying to do? Have you taken the program? If they've taken the course, so they have the skill, but they're finding it difficult to land the job, right? That's when they are a qualified lead for us, right? Because now we can take them through resume prep, resume preparation and revamp, LinkedIn preparation and revamp, interview, job application strategies. How are they applying for jobs? Where are they applying for jobs? When are they applying for jobs? How are they applying for jobs? We look at all those things and then we coach them into it, as well as how they're preparing for interviews. What are the things they're looking at and they're not looking at? We arm them with the skills to properly prepare, because you'll be surprised how many people don't actually know how to prepare for interviews. You'll be shocked. It seems like something very basic, right? Oh, you find some common questions, you get questions, you go through the job description, but there's a lot of things deeper that you should be looking at. So, for example, I bet a lot of people don't know that you can answer questions right at an interview and still not get the job. And then you get to finance and wonder why. I'm like, you are like in your mind, you killed it. Yeah, but did you speak in context of what they're looking for? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, for example, especially when you've had like diverse experience, right? I had a student recently who had diverse experience, over 10 years of experience in project management, for example. And she had going through interviews but wasn't finding success. Then we realized that the answers that she was given, she was talking a lot about her projects that had to do with economic impact. So, for example, she had imagine like someone who worked at UN, for example, right? Something similar experience, it's like more economic impact. But then you are interviewing for, and while those experiences are good and there were technology implementations there, she was more or less focusing on bringing out that impact. But then when you're interviewing with an IT company whose mission is completely different, it's not as relevant.
Yeah.
So then we had to help her understand, okay, here, if you're interviewing for this kind of company, these are the parts of experiences that you should shed more light to. Because what they want to know is, have you done it before? And can you help us do it? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So we help people like understand how to speak during interviews and all of those things. So essentially, everything they need to be able to land a job successfully. That's what we do. Now, in our development arm, which started out recently, And again, I've started speaking more about this because I want to build in public. I want to, start creating some awareness. At Adar, one of the things we're doing is we're building out a software. Because, for example, I'm sure one of the problems that you've heard when people come to you is, oh, I mean, I'm trying to get into tech, but they don't even know where it's at because tech is broad.
Yeah.
Like, we as elite cybersecurity alone is massive. So, our hypothesis that we want to test out is the fact that the career path you'll be most successful in is one that allows you or one that aligns with your strengths or skills as well as your personality.
Wow.
So we want to help people discover their strengths. So that introspection that I told you that I did before, myself, I want to automate that for people, right? Automate that we have inputs. Take a personality test. Give us a copy of your existing resume so we can understand what skill sets you have right now. We'll take those as inputs into our LLM and we'll spit out for you. Ayomide, we think you're great at these 5 things, and based on these 5 things, we think these are the best roles for you to look at getting into. And then we're going to rank those roles for them based on different factors. And then once they've selected the one that resonates with them the most, right, we're going to give them a roadmap to actually get there, right? So what upskilling courses do you need to take? If they can't afford a bootcamp, for example, here are the 3 courses you need to go take on Udemy, for example. Directed. Not because there's a lot of noise. Because you hear people say,
maybe you should do this.
Cybersecurity. So I went to the cybersecurity course. You
might not like it.
I even told me that it's data analysis that is doing it now. Go and do that one too, but not really introspective. Okay, what is right for me? So our goal really is to help people make clearer decisions to find better career success. So
that's actually so key. But like, let's say now I know that I should be a product manager.
Yes.
But I don't have the experience. Maybe I'll go and do a boot camp and I know that this is the job for me, and I've done this boot camp, but the reality is that I'm not qualified for that role. How do you help them in that situation?
So there's a number of things. If you're trying to get into product management specifically, there's 2 aspects to it. There is product execution. Actually, scrap that. There's 3 aspects to it. There's product strategy. Product.
Okay.
There's product strategy. There's product definition, and then there's product execution. For example, if you worked as a business analyst before, you've dealt with the product execution part. You've also dealt with a bit of the product definition part. Definition is defining the product. What are the user stories? What are the this? What would they look like and what would they feel like? That's definition. Execution, working with developers to bring that to life. Strategy, finding the problem, validating the problem, ideating on the solution, prioritizing the problem to ideate on. You get all of those things so you can develop your why and your what in strategy so you can bring it into execution to your how. You get So a lot of times people lack the strategy aspect of it. But then there are ways to build strategy. There are ways to build strategic thinking. One is just build stuff. With AI tools these days, identify a problem. It doesn't matter what the problem is. Identify it, think through it, try to validate that it is a problem. Try to validate that it is a problem big enough to solve. It has a big enough customer base. There's something what we call TAM, SAM, total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, serviceable obtainable market, right? So you want to look, is the serviceable obtainable market big enough that it is worth solving for? Start doing that. It's like running a business, right? You started a business. You know the things that you have to think through and the research you have to carry out to determine that, okay, will this thing really move in the market? Is this the problem that people are truly complaining about? Do you get it? So you can start developing that experience just on your own. Or if you've attempted starting a business, right, you can tap into that and tap into how you went about thinking through the business. So there's a lot of things that you've done that are related to strategy, to business strategy. And business strategy and product strategy are quite close in nature. in terms of the principles of how you think to do it.
True.
Right? So if you can bring that and marry it with some of the execution experience that you have, that will get you into it. Now, for example, Skill Hats, Collab, there's a few others, they would actually put you in an accelerator program where you get to do those things and build out what we call a minimum viable product within 10 weeks or 9 weeks or something like that, right? So that also gives you some of that experience that you need.
Wow, that's key. So what's the name of your company again?
Aiderr.
Aiderr.
Yes.
Where did you get the name from?
So how we got the name? Interesting story. So initially when we started building out our product, we wanted to initially call our the AI agents within our app Aiderr, AIDA, right? So when we wanted to rebrand, and again, the company isn't quite out there yet. We're still new, we're still fresh. Again, we're still wrapping up some things to start, bringing out ourselves in terms of a marketing standpoint. I've been running this sort of based on my own brand for now. But when I wanted to change the name from my tech party, which I felt resonated more with Nigerians, and we want to go a bit wider than that, and create better brand recognition, make it easier for people to recognize. Then we just thought in one of our strategy calls with my team, we thought, oh, why don't we call it Aiderr? So that's when I started doing research. I'm like, okay, Aiderr, that just sounds interesting.
Yeah.
But then when we started doing business registration and name search and all of those things, Aiderr was taken. Started looking again, and then one day I said, why don't we change the last A to R, right? And that's when we started. Oh, okay, we can call it Aiderr. But then the issue with that was Aiderr.com with an R. That domain, somebody has bought it. It's not being used. But somebody has purchased it and wants to resell the domain for tens of thousands of dollars. People do that. Apparently, it's a thing. I didn't know myself.
People are smart,
right? People do that.
That's a business idea.
At the time when they purchased it, maybe they purchased it for $25.
Wow.
Less. And I've seen, when I started doing, if you go on GoDaddy.com, you can see some of these prices, $53,000.
For what?
No jokes.
Funny.
Yeah. For example, Aiderr.org, $53,000. I said, wait.
My brother.
I said, wait.
How much is it?
How much am I? How much am I? You know what I'm saying? That would be $53,000. Well, it's crazy. So then I said, okay, that's crazy. So we said, add an extra R. See how that looks like. That's how we secure the domain Aiderr.com. So.
Wow. That sounds like a lot. How are you able to manage being a senior product manager, being the founder of Adar, being a father, being a husband, and actually, okay, let's answer this question first. I'm being a drummer, but let's see how you manage all of that.
Oh my goodness. One is scheduling, right?
Okay.
I kind of have schedules for everything.
Okay.
To be honest, whenever people want to call me, sir, I prefer we have a schedule. Let me just have it in my calendar, big.
For a phone call.
I'm not saying people can't call me, no. I'm not saying people can call me, but for my own sanity. Because if I tell you, I'm going to call you on this day, likely I'll forget. Don't let me lie to you. So scheduling has been a big thing for me. Everything is on my Google Calendar. From family devotion to date nights with my wife to dates with my son, everything. Literally, I schedule everything. This, I think schedule since.
Yeah.
I don't play with schedules. So one is just having time buckets for different things. I'm fortunate because again, I work in a San Francisco-based company. So really, I don't start work at 12. So I'm able to take some appointments in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? And then my core hours are really 12 to 4. That's really core when I'm really working. Anything outside that, I have a bit more flexibility. As long as, again, my products are launching per timeline, the expected impact is there, I've built processes in place, right? And then I am a night person. I'm not a morning person, to be honest with you. So I will constantly work. I sleep a bit better now, thankfully. But before 3 a.m. I'm awake. I'm sharp. At 3 a.m. I remember early days of BA, I'll be working at 3 a.m. Nobody asked me. I don't have a deliverable the next morning. I just loved it. Right? For absolutely no reason.
They say you're not ethical or something.
I just loved it. I love working at night. I'm sharp at night. But morning is not quite. So now, but I need that, obviously. I have a wife. I can't leave it cold night. Right? So I have pretty long days, right? From mornings, because I also get my son ready for school. I take him to school. For me, that's also crucial because it's my bonding moments, extra bonding moments with him. Because sometimes when he comes back from school, I'm not really there, right? I'm either in one meeting or the other. So the morning time is me and him. Prep, sing together, sing non-shout, teach him math, do 1 + 1, 2 + 2, 3 + 3 + 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? All those things in the mornings. And then after that, I drop him off at school, come back home, take a couple of appointments, right? Some leads, blah, 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 talk to my team if needed. During then I do my 4 hours of work. And after that, I relax for a bit, spend time with family for about an hour-ish, then I jump back into meetings. For dates with my wife, we have specific dates, right? We have specific dates. I won't tell you. We have specific days that are blocked out on my calendar. This is for me and my wife, right? So we go out on dates, we do the things we love to do, and just drive around and bring or some days, but that's not really the dates. But some days we drive around, some days it's a fancy restaurant, some days it's a nice experience somewhere, right? And so and then I have also like days that I don't do anything at all. So for example, Sundays especially is for not really for God, but for church and family strictly. Saturdays as well, morning to afternoon. After that, that's it. So that way, I'm able to find some sanity. Is it no? Still hard because I'm in a lot of meetings, but also it's as a result of the stage where we are right now. I feel like once we're able to scale a little bit more, and I'm able to take a step back a little bit, hopefully that will get better.
Wow. So scheduling and just like planning out your time, is scatterbrain or like
I can't do it.
Structure.
I need it.
So how was it like just going back to Aiderr, how was it like hiring the people on your team? How did you know who to like select? Because obviously it's a startup, you're still growing. Yes. How did you know these are the entrusted people that I need right now for the position that we're at?
One, I went by recommendation. I got a number of people because we're still a growing company. We're not yet at the stage where we can afford Canadian developers.
Oh, glory.
There's one in this room, for example. We can't afford them.
No.
You know what I mean? We can't afford them. Just yet. So I had to look abroad. So, but, thankfully, by virtue of like my network, I leveraged my network, people that I knew who were leaders. So I know VPs of like startups. I know CEOs of startups and founders of startups. So I reached out to them. Oh, can you recommend people? Then I went about interviewing. Now, while interviewing, I was looking for competence, but I was looking for people who bought into the vision the most, right? I feel like for a startup, that's important, right? I need people who will question me, who will check me, because they're bought into the vision, who will check, boss, like you said, are you sure about this thing? How about we think about it this way, right? So I needed to think about that. So I needed people who were bought into the vision and people who were skilled. And obviously they came through recommendation, so that's how I was able to then settle on the people that I hired.
Really good. Congratulations on your business. I have
money, but thank you.
It's coming. I have 2 more questions. One is about your drumming. I want to know where that started from, and like I know it's just like okay, let me not assume. Just tell us about your drumming, where that started from and how it is for you now.
Drumming. So yeah, it started from family. My brothers used to drum. Remember, to give you context, my immediate older brother is 5 years older than me.
Wow.
So I'm much younger than they are, right? Obviously, now we're already done,
not mature.
Now we're in our 20s or 16 plus.
Sure.
We're like, like the age doesn't really matter anymore. But because of that, I had people that I was looking up to. So they used to do it. So I was that kid. You know how you go to church and there's that kid who's by the drums?
They don't be standing there. Oh.
So I was soaking in a lot of that. Soaking in a lot of it because I was interested in it. Right? So by age, I don't remember, 4 or 5, I started drumming.
That would have been a loud house.
I know. Oh. And my parents supported it. Right? So thankfully. So, local churches back then, local churches, but my churches back then, they put us up to music. My dad would get us instruments, learn, put us sign up for lessons and stuff. I never really learned drumming. I just learned by watching others do it, and that's how I've been able to do it. Right? I've never really gone for any formal lessons or anything like that. And again, I love it. I will never stop drumming. And again, because I'm a creative, it really appeals to me. It's my free place to express creativity as I wish, right? And within context, of course. But yeah, that's how drumming came about.
Jack of all trades. Want to be like you when you grow up.
No.
Okay, my last question is really to wrap it up in terms of product management. If you could just advise anyone trying to start product management, or products, just in products in general, what would you say they should do?
Two things. I say start developing product sense.
Okay.
So, what's product sense, you might ask? Number one, start being curious about problems. Start there. Just being curious about problems. Start from the things that you interact with on a daily basis. And start being curious about why is it like this? Why couldn't it be like this? Start there. And now, if you're really serious about this thing, start building stuff. With AI, you don't need to hire any developer. You don't. It's a bunch of tools out there. There's a tool called Cursor AI, for example. Incredible. This will write code for you sharply. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Start, just identify problems, validating problems. Even if you don't validate, start building. Start getting the experience of the thinking process. Because if you go to a product interview, what they look for the most is how you think through problems.
Yeah.
And they'll ask you questions like, how many slices of pizzas are eaten in the US on a daily basis? How am I supposed to know?
My business is their pizza.
What they're looking for isn't an exact answer. They're looking for how you go about thinking through the problem to arrive at an answer. So by developing that product sense and start to build stuff, you're developing your thinking capacity.
Wow.
So how do you bring clarity to your thinking process, and how do you go about making clear decisions? Can you justify why you made that decision? Why did you decide that the color was going to be green? What was the thinking process? Did you put together a pros and cons? Start developing that, right? And then when you're ready, you can start again building stuff on your own. Start taking courses.
Go to Adar.
Come
to
coaching and
glory.
You get it?
I love it. Okay. Well, thank you, Pelumi.
Thank you.
We do have some audience questions that we need you to answer.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
You'll try. All right. So the first one says, hi, Pelumi. I've been applying for tech jobs for over a year now. I've changed my resume multiple times, paid for coaching, and I still haven't gotten any offers. I was a business analyst for about a year at one of the top 5 banks about 3 years ago. But since then, nothing has worked out. I'm starting to feel like maybe this just isn't for me. What would you say to someone in my position?
So, first things first, I hear you, I see you. It's not easy. It's not necessarily you. That's the first thing. The market is very different. For example, I had a student recently who got a job, and she was told by the hiring manager that 5,000 people applied to the job. 5,000. So you see how it might not necessarily be you, it might not even be your resume, right? So take heart. Don't be discouraged. That's the first thing, because the market is going through a correction period. Now, specifically, if you've been applying, first of all, you have to diagnose what the problem really is. If you have been applying and you've been getting interviews, it's not necessarily that your resume is wrong, because there's evidence.
Yeah.
But if you've been getting interviews but you're not getting jobs, that's a different topic on its own, right? If you've been getting interviews, you're not getting a job, your resume is not a problem. So it's not about keep banking your resume. Isolate where the problem is. Do an audit. I can give you the stats. Right now, according to LinkedIn, when you apply to 100 jobs with a good resume, if you get 2 to 3 interviews, that's currently seen as good. Doesn't mean yours can be better, right? But that's the current statistic, right? Do an audit. What is the issue? Have I gone through a couple interviews and then I'm not landing the job? Then you know that, okay, I need to develop my interviewing skills, right? I'll give you some free game. Go on YouTube, right? Type interview questions, ITBS analyst interview questions. Practice, practice, practice. Watch those YouTube videos, learn, and practice speaking it out loud. A lot of people like to practice in their heads. And while that is good, practicing it in your head and actually speaking out loud are two different things.
Yeah.
Speak it out loud. Look at the mirror. Record yourself, right? Ask friends. You can also reach out to us, but I don't want to seem as if I'm just here to market my business. You can still reach out. But facts is, I want to help you, right? You can do some of these things yourself as well. And then if by that time you still find issues, then you can come back, right? But practice in the mirror. Speak to yourself, right? If it is an issue of a resume, you're not getting interviews, then again, maybe something is not quite marketing you, your resume and your LinkedIn. I'll look at both of these two things together to then determine where you can make improvements.
Okay. All right. The second question, really quickly. Hey, Pelumi, I started working as a business analyst just a little over a year ago. To be honest, I kind of had to stretch the truth on my resume to land that role. Now I really want to transition into products, but there's no room for growth in my company. The problem is I don't want to lie again just to move forward. How do I make this transition the right way without faking my way through it?
So, fantastic question. First, if you worked in business analysis for just a year, my personal recommendation is that you stick it out for a little bit longer. You want to earn your stripes a bit more in execution. It will help you. However, I don't seem like any progress. So, however, if you're looking to transition to product, examine your role. If you've been doing a lot of system implementation, you're already doing a lot of product execution. So what you want to go do, you want to go learn more about product definition and product strategy. There's a lot of definition work you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing a lot of work with stakeholders to define high-level requirements, high-level user interfaces and user experiences. So you're going to be working a lot with like the UI UX team, for example. Or you yourself, you might be designing some of those mocks yourself, as an example. Develop those skills. And a strategy, like I spoke about already in the video, develop strategic thinking skills, right? And a clear thought process, clear logical process to make decisions. Once you have those things, now you can then sell your resume, number one, as a skill set you've now gained the product strategy, but your experience, you can tailor it more to product execution. That will likely get you into like a product owner role or even a product manager role, because some companies call you a product manager, but you're still really doing mostly execution and not necessarily strategy. So do you get it? So you're not necessarily lying if you paint your BA skills as a product owner or product analyst type role, right? You're just telling the story of your product execution a bit better.
Deep. All right. Well, thank you, Pelumi. We just have a little game that we want to play before we wrap up. Now you can,
I can relax.
you have been relaxed since. Okay, it's a this or that game.
Okay.
So we'll just give you two options. You can just choose one. We can talk about it if you want, but we'll see. Okay, startups or big tech?
In what context?
Oh,
What to work for?
yeah.
Where are you in your career? It depends. It's a big question. Where? Give me that context.
2 years in.
2 years in? 2 years in, you're probably still looking for hyper growth. It also depends on the situation, right? Because startups are unstable. For startups, you find a lot of growth. You wear multiple hats.
you learn.
You learn really quickly. I would say with that one, it depends what you're looking for.
Well,
if you're looking for me, if 2 years in, I would have been looking for a startup. 2 years in startup. For me, I like the volatility. I love the learning. Yes, growth, hyper growth is what I was looking for. But if you're, it depends on the person, right? If you're more risk averse, then please don't go to startup. But if you embrace risk,
Okay. Product roadmap or user research?
Product user research, actually. User research.
Why?
I love talking. I love finding problems, right? That curiosity aspect of it.
Why is it blue? Not
why exactly? Yeah. Why?
Okay, the Canada tech scene or Silicon Valley?
You didn't want Silicon Valley. It's different.
It's vast.
It's too much. Silicon Valley.
Okay, resume tailoring or networking strategy?
Networking strategy. Resume tailoring is tricky, man. Very tricky. It's a hard work.
Yeah.
It's a hard job to do.
Yeah. What about ERP systems or mobile apps?
ERP systems for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's.
I know, boring, right?
Let's give it 30 plus.
That's my gig. You can't blame me. You can't fault me for it.
Okay. Product going viral with bugs or no buzz but clean execution?
Yo. No bugs but clean execution, but that's a myth because there will always be bugs still. But going viral when you have a lot of bugs can really hurt your brand.
Yeah.
So for me, clean products.
Okay.
Minimal bugs.
LinkedIn flexing or quietly collecting wins? I mean, if you want to talk about the 400K, yes. I mean,
wow. I don't need 400K.
Okay.
I don't bring that again at least.
Okay, well.
It depends, man. For me as a person, quietly flexing, actually.
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm even doing LinkedIn is
because of your business. Yeah.
No, otherwise I'll just be on my own. Right?
Fair. Sarah, can I pick your brain?
Yes, ma'am.
Or let's set up a paid consult.
Are you joking here? Let's set up a paid consult. Pick my brain. What's it?
Let me just pick it now.
No, don't pick it. Give me something that will pick my pockets. Yeah, but pick consult.
Okay. All right. Fake it till you make it or be real, build slow.
A question is talk, my sister.
Based on based on strategy.
Based on strategy. That question is hard.
Only.
I'll say let me give my gospel answer. Okay. the second one. What's the second one again?
Be real.
Be real and be slow. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Okay. Thank
Right.
you. Explaining your job to African parents or getting random tech DMs from strangers.
Getting random tech DMs.
Yeah. You can explain it.
African parents.
So what are you doing
what can you
again?
do? It's long.
Oh, okay. Well, that comes to the end of our video today. It's been really insightful. Thank you so much for sharing your insights.
For having me.
You know,
I really appreciate it.
very strategic learnings. For everyone out there, just make sure that you are very introspective to what you actually want to do, your personality and like where you see yourself at. It really, really plays a huge role in the kind of jobs that you take. And, just hit him up. Adar is there, get some nice tips on how to be the best version of yourself in tech. Purr. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.